Oh, hello everybody, Vicky here. I should get settled before I start, shouldn't I? No, not me. Now that I've decided to bring you along on this journey, we're probably about getting about halfway towards finishing. This is the little ephemera holder. It's so cute, isn't it? Does that tell you how big it is? So it is 1, 2, 5. Let's count. It's quite difficult, isn't it? So we've got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these pages are 5 by 6, but the cover is just a little bit bigger, and they are so sweet. So this one is number 7 that I've been decorating. So as you can tell, I've been a very busy girl, so I thought, well, it's time to bring you along for the ride. So we open up to the first page, and if I can still see straight after we do all the decorating, I thought I'd put a little pocket in there, but I would use the die cut so that I could get the rings to line up and the pocket would be all nice and tidy against that page there. So I've kind of like aimed this towards a male, although I like it personally, but I was looking for something that, you might know a male that doesn't craft and doesn't want to put his ephemera or even know what ephemera is in it. It could be a little organising thing for him, his bills, his receipts, his upcoming, because my man, who is just absolutely gorgeous, is hopeless at leaving bits and pieces of paper everywhere. But anyway, enough of that. So this one, I've just popped a little pocket in it. This is the first time I've put a little pocket into the decoration on the facing page. And then I've just done a little bit of layering. And then I've got these toppers that I thought would be nice. So that's number 1. I've only got 9 to go. Now I've gone through my scraps, and you do get a lot of leftovers. If you have 6 inch 6 by 12 scrapbooking, it takes 6 inch width. So you if you've got 6 inch width to use up, perfect. If you don't, it will take half of your sheet, but then you can go on and use that to do other things with throughout the book. So here we go. I've got some odd pieces of scraps that I haven't squared up yet, and I thought that I could use these as contrasts, a way of using them. Like, there's oodles and oodles of scraps, and I've got a whole pile that I showed you in the introduction that have all been squared off. But I thought, rather than using them, since I've already done the work, why don't I do this? So if I put that one there, I might just take a little bit of this one, because I hadn't thought about putting a second contrast. But this one's so cute. It's a little bit lighter, so I thought maybe we would look better if we put another piece coming from there. And you see, I quite like that. It does make a difference, doesn't it? So what's everybody up to? I'm starting to get a little bit stuck. I think I'm going to have to start writing some story prompters down, like when you get up to do public speaking, or like I used to do when I used to do the services. I wouldn't necessarily, I didn't, and Graham taught me this, that you don't get up to talk in public with all your notes nicely laid out and knowing that you don't want to read from the notes. You don't have all your notes. They can be at the back if things go south and you need them. But he taught me to use prompt words. So I could be merrily talking along about something, and then I'm moving on to the next part of my talk, and not looking down and seeing all these words come up at you, but just have bullet points so that know what you've written. Own your work before you go to do public speaking. And the other thing that I will give you a hint on, you might feel crazy, but if you're going to do any sort of public speaking, you're going to get up, you're going to do a talk, could be something that you're passionate on, or you might want to do public speaking or whatever it might be, don't just go over and over your notes, reading and rereading in your head. Go out the back, sit down and actually talk to the tree. Give it the whole 9 yards. Just chatter away. You give your talk to the tree. And when I was doing a lot of it, we had three border collies, and I didn't have any neighbours. My nearest neighbours were 2.5 kilometres away, so I could get up on the roof and scream it from there if I wanted to, and still nobody would have heard me. But we'd go out, we'd find a little cool spot, and the three of us, and particularly my Lucy, because she was just, she lived to please me, that dog. She's just so beautiful. They'd all line up there and sit down under the shady tree. And off I'd go. I'd give them that talk. And I think by the time I was ready to do it, and I did it and it was all over, I'm pretty sure those three dogs knew it better than me. I reckon if they could have talked, I reckon they'd be going, no, Vic, that doesn't go there. That sentence is in the wrong space. Back it up. I'm sure they would have been able to critique me. Fortunately for me, they could just sit there and look at me like I was just the most perfectly normal, rational person on the planet. So that, I don't know how we got onto that. How did we get onto that? I'm sure I was going somewhere with that before I got sidetracked. Never mind. Also, yeah, I think I was just simply talking about how this could be a really valuable asset to a male in your life, someone that you have to buy a present for. Secret Santa, it'd be unique, but I don't know how much your budget is for Secret Santas. But yeah, it's an awesome, and the good thing about this one is with the split pins, it can grow. There is a lot. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I've only got, almost only one dirty finger. I don't know which one I was doing. I was putting some gilding wax around. And I did quite a number on my hands. I made a real mess. So this one goes down first. Because I'm pretty hopeless, or I'm not sort of disciplined enough to be cleaning my mat all the time, I like to have a piece of paper under me for the glue and just stamp off and things like that. I just find it helpful. I hope everybody has had a lovely day, or if your day is just starting, thank you for joining me. Put your feet up and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and listen to me and wake up for the day. I admire. Oh, I think Graham's on the go, so where's my mouse? I might need it any minute. I had a little chat with him and a little pat and gave him some attention before and said, right, time to go back to sleep, assume the positions, me back in my chair. and them off doing what it is they do, which is sleep or patrol from the front lounge room window. What's going on? But when Graham and I get up, they sort of like stuck on, oh, it's time to be awake, they're alive. And Cody will go and grab his little pool rug, and he'll look at Louis hopefully, hoping that they can have a tug of war. They really do sound quite vicious when they're doing that. It really does sound quite like they hate each other. And they have the best of time with that rug. I think I told you, we ended up with a pool rug because poor old Cody, Louis was hanging off his mane everywhere he walked. And he'd be jumping all over Cody, wanting to play with him. And poor old Cody is like looking up. I said, oh, please, is there anything you can do to get rid of this thing that is jumping all over me? And that was in the beginning. So now when Cody wants to rumble with Louis, he actually picks his rug up between in his mouth and walks over and starts draping it over Louis and prodding him with his nose. Louis's like, go away. But Louis can't resist it because Louis is Louis. And off they go. So I just heard that perhaps I misheard. I thought it was a screen door that opened, and it's locked. It's like a security screen that's locked. So, and we have Cody. Cody will rip his leg off, rip somebody's leg off, and Louis will go like, "I'll lick it for you. I'll make you happy." No, Cody's not that. I think Cody is more mouth. But you don't push your luck, do you? And they say if someone shows you what they're like, believe him. Cody's never actually bitten anybody, even when he's had the opportunity to. A couple of times where his timing was bad and somebody come up, bailed him up, but he's not bitten. So I'm just making a little pocket out of this. I quite like the idea of a little pocket, but it might not be on every page. It just depends on what we're going to do. So we'll put you there. Then we've got a lovely little collage, and it doesn't take very long, does it? So we've got that there. I'll put that over there, and now what we want to do is we want a little something. What did I put in there? Put a little saying, didn't I? What's this one? Lawnmowers. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Do you know, when I went to school, my name's Vicky, obviously, we all know that, we've established that. When I went to school, there were some boys. So you know this going to be saying there was teasing, aren't you? You know, there were boys. Boys being like at a certain age shouldn't be allowed out in public, but nevertheless they were. And they used to call me Victor Motomoa. Now, to shorten my name, you do Vic, really. There's nothing really wrong with that, nothing derogative about it. But there is a lawnmower company called Victor, and my name is Vicky. So they used to say, "Hey, Victor." Right, Victor Momo. Depends on whether or not they were running past and didn't have much time to stand there and do the whole blurb. It's like, how you going? Or they'd go past me, and it's like, yeah, whatever. And I'm not talking in preschool. This is the first year in high school. In high school, because I was getting the bus home by myself, and we'd get on the bus, and it would be packed because, you know, like, some poor unfortunate adults had to catch that bus. I think if I had been an adult, I would have been half an hour early or half an hour late. All the school kids on it, standing room mainly, and this boy, I don't even remember his name. We're on the bus and we're standing up, and he's just lying into me about being a lawnmower, and my hair looks like it was run over by a lawnmower, and saying I don't talk, I rev, and I just honestly, he was just into it. And this lady standing in front of me's turned around and she's had a frown on her face. I don't think she was too happy the way he was going on. And she looked at me and I just shrugged my shoulders and smiled like, you know, just ignore it, I do. So she sort of like gave him the evil eye and kept an eye on him. But yeah, just relentless. And I think because I did get a reasonable amount of bullying, well, I was bullied. There's no reasonable amount of anything, is there, when it comes to being bullied? The least of my problems was somebody called me a lawnmower. It's like, yeah, you're going to have to bring something better than that to the table. It's important. Just school can be brutal, can't it? And we didn't have all the bully awareness back then. It was like, I'm an old lady, remember? In another time, it's like, well, if somebody's bullying you, just take them on. Go out the back and have a stash. Show them who's boss. You're just encouraging violence, which kind of continues to encourage the bullying. But that's just the way it was. But I just figured, and I don't know why, I just knew just to ignore him. There was nothing I could say that would stop him, so why bother saying anything at all? He'd grow up or get over it. I said, there you go, all that from a little picture of a lawnmower. I wonder if it's a Victor. No, it doesn't say. Sorry, got a bit distracted there. Finally, we've got, well, I say finally, I shouldn't be wishing the hot weather on us, because we live in a very hot climate and summer can be very long and brutal. But we are now, what did I decide? The 9th of November. We still haven't got the air conditioner on. I can't get in the pool. And when I can't get in the pool, the water's cold. In November, today it is a really hot day out there. And I'm thinking, oh, that's great. Because it means that if it's another nice day tomorrow, guess where I'll be? Now, I'm looking for the stamp that I use all the time, and I can never find. How crazy is that? Oh, I think I need to go for a little walk. I've been sitting too long, got a little bit of a head spin there. Where did I put it, girls? Right here, where I know where it was. That's where I put it. Oh, I've got bits and pieces everywhere. Just a minute. just did a little emu bob. That's what we used to call it in the army. You'd have to do an emu bob. You'd have to go around and pick up any rubbish that was around. And like, we all knew to keep things pretty clean for two reasons. One, we worked there and we didn't want to work with rubbish laying all around everywhere. And two, we knew that we'd be all out there picking it all up if there was. So outside the canteen, you used to have to do a cigarette butt bob. You go around and you pick up all the cigarette butts, even if you were a smoker or you weren't a smoker, because if one had to do it, everyone had to do it. And you didn't fare well. And you didn't get hurt. But you were reminded you were part of a team if you didn't turn up to do the bob. The emu bob. It should be a song. Should no, it is a song, the emu, but I mean a little emu bob song. Well, anyway, the reason why I said that is because Louis doesn't chew our shoes. He doesn't chew anything. They get a bit excited and Louis starts chewing his bed sometimes because he can't find his little blankie. And sometimes, because Louis sits in the middle of the lounge like he's just the king, which don't tell him, he probably is. And sometimes they get a bit excited and that gets pulled off the lounge. But he'll chew, no, he won't even chew that. He'll play tug of war with it and all those sorts of things. But he would paper. He's into paper. So he's loves to, and tissues. So there are times if you bend down and look under our bed, it looks like it snowed. I kid you not. There is a whole stack of chewed up tissues in there. So there we go. So I haven't just been doing nothing. It comes together so quickly, doesn't it? And it really looks very nice. So you're sort of like looking at it and that looks nice, and then you look at this, that's lovely, and then you look at that and go, well that's a little bit plain, although I love that map. So I might not do quite as big as so you can see it on this side. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Now what have I got now? So I've got in a basket, me and my basket, I've got some odds there, and I've found all the toppers that I thought, well, they all belong to, maybe, is it uniquely creative paper maybe? All these come from? I could go through all the branding strips. I've successfully kept them all. So that, I've missed one anyway. We're up to that one. We're actually up to this one. So what did I do? I keep going back and checking. So I don't want it too much to say. So if I put you there. Well, that'll teach me to leave the room, won't it? I saw it was getting a bit late. I did dinner. I had to do dinner, so I've been away for a couple of hours. What have you girls been doing? Aren't you lucky we can start and stop and edit? So I made up a bolognese. And you can see there's a divot in this one here. But you can use your misshapen pieces for matting to build up a layer, and nobody's ever going to know the difference. Well, it's not been sneaky, it's just been clever at being able to use those little bits of odds and sods. So anyway, back to what I was saying, which I think I was saying was dinner time. I made up a bolognese sauce, and we didn't have spaghetti, we had zucchini. And so I've got this little thing where you rotate it around and it gives you zucchini pasta. And it was yummy. It was yummy. It's the first time I've done it. Graham, bless his heart, does have trouble with indigestion, and I've almost killed him sometimes with my cooking indirectly. There's nothing wrong with the cooking, it's just his stomach's gone, yeah, no, I don't like that big. Don't like that at all. And I never know what that is until he eats it. And I'm just trying to figure out where I had that odd bit. I must have had it down here. So we had zucchini pasta, and then I had to laugh because I put 2 pieces of garlic bread that has gluten in it on the table. So hopefully with less gluten it won't be a problem. And I made up my juice. I make up a juice with berries, apples, pears, mixed berries. I can hear something, just give me a minute. I do believe it's just Cody crunching on some of his dry bickies. Had dinner with us, and I thought it might have been Louis because he's just on the lounge on his blanket. I swear one of these days he's going to gnaw that foot off, or a foot. He just scratches, seems to be itchy all the time. I don't know a lot about his breed. I don't know if they have skin problems or not, but I know we put pawpaw cream on his little neck. It gets quite red and raw. Next time they go to the vet for their checkup and their needles, I think, although I suppose it wouldn't hurt me to just do a bit of reading, really, would it? Just wouldn't hurt me at all. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of repetition with doing one of these ephemera holders, or document holders, whatever you want to call them. Like either or. I really do honestly think that they would make an excellent present. But I shan't probably take you along on the journey to see every page done in each of the binders, although having said that, I can't, because I can't show you what I don't know where it is. Did that make sense? I can't show what I don't have, but I will do a flip through on the end. But it's basically just repetition, really, doing the same thing in a different way, if that makes sense, on each page, trying to make it look a little bit different. I hope that's not the same. It's mainly why I keep going back, make sure that they're not going to be the same. So I'm just sort of chattering away here. I'm not sure why. I think it would get rather boring if you had to sit through all 12 of these. Oh, that's what I was saying. I can't do that anyway because I don't know where the footage is gone. But that's okay. I have enough for you to know every stage. I showed you how in the first episode on how to go about making the ephemera folder itself. And if there's anybody who would like to actually make one, that would be fine. Remember, we do have new people all the time. So what seems pretty straightforward to those who have been doing things like this for a long time can be confusing to somebody who's new. Never ever be worried about asking a question. Somebody said to me once that the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. And believe me, I've asked some really weird things in my time, and I've been really badly embarrassed. I've got one, but it's a bit naughty. I'll have to think about whether or not I can tell you, because I was in the army, and I asked a question, and it probably wasn't the best question to ask. I mean, I asked it innocently. I really did, honestly. I went in very innocent. I came out conversant on not so innocent. I learned a lot of things when I was in there. Learned a lot of words. I can remember one day my Prosecco, there was about 6 of us in our 6 or 7, I don't know, in our section, and each section has corporal. Well, I couldn't get something right this day, and I don't know why. I couldn't physically do it, and I think she thought that just I don't know whether she thought I was just being a smart aleck or I don't know. Anyway, it must have been, and I could see, I can understand why she did a block with me. Lord, I'm pretty sure I would. So she walks up to me, because we're on the parade ground, and it simply come down to me happening to keep my fingers together like that on the rifle, and for love nor money I couldn't. My fingers wouldn't, they just would not stay together. I wasn't doing it to annoy her. I was embarrassed that I couldn't do it. It was hot, things weren't going well, and she comes storming over to me. She's like nose to nose with me. She got a slouch hat and she threw it on the ground, and she looked back up at me, and she started into me with all these insults about how useless I was, and she had a good range of bad words. She really had a handle on how to insult a person. And she didn't miss one of those words. Oh, she was going off on me, the poor thing. I felt so sorry for her, and like I'm just looking past it, because you can't say anything, and whatever, you don't laugh. I don't think you would have ever found the body if I had if I laughed at her. But this is honestly a true story. I kid you not. And she's standing there and she's like screaming at me. Her face is going very red. It's very hot, and she just had enough of me. And like I said, I can actually see her point of view. There are things in your life you do well, and there are times when you're not going to do well at all. And this wasn't my shining moment. So I was older too when I joined the army. I was an older cadet. So I guess that little bit of maturity helped me. So I just sort of like looked past her, or just made my eyes. I just had to make sure she didn't see that I was about to burst out laughing, because she was really going to town with me, and she was seriously angry. And like I said, you'd be still looking for my body if I had laughed. I'm absolutely positive about that. And in the finish, she's all saying all these different things and swearing at me, and I'm just standing there, and that's when she slammed her hat down on the ground and says, "Oh, you may as well effing forget it. You don't know what I'm saying to you anyway, do you?" And she stopped. But not to be beaten, she come back with a thick roll of sticky tape. So she walked over and grabbed my hand, and she taped my fingers together. But in the tape, I could still feel them. They just wouldn't stay together. Needless to say, I can tend to turn a sane person crazy. But yeah, that was a moment. That was me trying to march properly, do proper things, you know. And then, of course, you see, I had to go just that little bit earlier, because the recruits after us went into cams, which meant camouflage uniform. We had the greens, and it would have meant that we wouldn't have had to iron these greens. and they took the SLRs and brought in the Styres, I think they were. I'm not really that au fait with weapons, don't really interest me that much. I could take mine apart and I could strip it and I can put it back together like a real champ. There was just one problem. I couldn't hit anything. I think it's possible that I left the army being the worst shot that the army had ever had. I mean, I'm not particularly proud of that, but it is what it is. It is what I was. I was good at my job, but yeah, as far as a soldier goes, you'd kind of want me in the background doing your support, what you needed. So, and I'm not saying that for women. I'm saying that for me. I wasn't a very good soldier. I could care for people. Like I had a lot of compassion, and I was easy for people to talk to who were feeling really, really sad. So I was handy for that. And anyone who spoke to me knew that nobody would ever know what they said, or to be honest, whether they actually even spoke to me at all. I wouldn't even acknowledge that, yep, so-and-so spoke to me. Since you asked, why do you need to know? I just never even confirmed. So I was a good keeper of secrets. I was, and more than one person called me that. A keeper of secrets. And the more secrets I kept, the more people felt comfortable talking to me. So I was good at that. My husband, said, if Vic picks up a weapon and starts firing, don't move. Because if you move, you run the chance of running into one of her bullets, because that's the only way she's going to hit you. Which sounds really funny, doesn't it? But it's actually probably the truth. But you know, we can say mock, insult. I don't know how to say that. We can sort of like pretend we're insulted by it, but inwardly laugh because it is really true. Not funny if you're in the front line and you need to be doing what you need to be doing, but I would never have ended up there. I would have been, like I said, behind, making sure food was getting through. The other interesting thing about me, which is really crazy, is I have no sense of direction. You probably realise that because left and right is just so confusing. I don't do the whole left-right thing very well. I could plot a map with longitude and latitude, and I could give those coordinates out to those that were in the field so that they knew where they had to get to next. I could teach navigation and about the maps and legends and longitude, latitude, everything that I've forgotten now. I could do all that, but I couldn't find my way out of car park. In fact, I've been lost in a couple of car parks, but Sydney Airport, that's a big car park, so you've got to give me that bit of grace there. I couldn't navigate north, south, east and west. It's all the same to me, interchangeable. It can be any way you want it to be. I can't actually orientate and take it from the classroom and put it into practice. I really don't know why that is. It's a bit weird for me. So I was good on the radio, so that was handy in a command tent. And like I said, I could plot and I could do coordinates, and I was trained in admin and stores, so I had that. But as far as no, I think it just was too abhorrent to me to think that I might have to one day aim that at a person and have to sort of them or me situation. I'm pretty sure it probably would have been me. I would have been more protective of my comrades than what I would have been of me. So we are all good at what we're good at, and we should just be comfortable with that. We don't have to be good at everything in life. We really don't. We just have to be kind, and we have to use what gifts we've got to help others. I think that's essential. And I think that was probably why I was a bit of a weird duck when I was in the army. Wasn't really aggressive enough. But I was good when it came to helping. And I loved working in the office. I really did love that. I had a pretty tough OC. Officer in charge, commander. He was really, really tough. He was the first one I had when I went into the orderly room. And had me terrified most of the time. He really did. But he's a really, really good man, actually. I learnt so much from him, and from getting into trouble and for not doing something good enough. It would be like, no, that's not what I asked for, blah, whatever. Off I'd have to go, and I'd have to find out the information that I should have come to him with. And I went off and lived in terror. It wasn't that bad. I do love to exaggerate, don't I? But he made me a damn fine worker, I can tell you now. Knowing that if you got it wrong, you were going to get told to go back. And it's not like I ever really got into trouble as such. It's just the tone. And it was the tone as much as it was the words. And then my second OC came in, and he was the opposite, completely opposite. He just let me get on. He sussed out that I could do my work, and got on really well with him. He was a little bit more of a people person than what our first major was, so it was a bit more relaxed. But once again, because he was such a good person, all I wanted to do was do right by him, because he certainly stood behind me. I never had to worry about anything. He was really good. So it's just a moment in time, a long time ago now. So if you have got a tough boss, as long as they're not belittling and as long as they're not bullying you, you will learn a lot. You will learn a lot. You know, even if you get into trouble because you didn't do something wrong, you'll learn not to do it again. Or you'll learn, go off and find out what's needed. So from doing things wrong, we should be allowed to do things that are wrong, as long as it's not going to harm anybody else, because we learn from our mistakes. There's no shame in doing something wrong. Because we do not need to know everything, people. We really, really do not need to know everything, and it's exhausting trying to keep up the facade that you do. The best thing that you can do for your mental health, I reckon, in this life is to go, I'm sorry, I don't know. We can find out together, or I can go and find out for you, but right at this moment, I'm sorry, I don't know. And I think that's important. I've lost you just a minute. Even my screen's got bored with me. I don't know whether I was there the whole time or not. I think we might have to edit that one out. I think I was just talking about we all should be allowed to be wrong, because we learn from our mistakes, and if it's not going to harm anybody else, being wrong, look upon it as character building. I don't know when I realised. I don't know how old I was when I realised. I think it took me quite a few years, certainly not through my younger years. I learned, and it was such a release. It's okay not to know everything. It really is just okay. Now I'm going to go off. I think I'm sort of drifting away here and chatting nonsense, I think. So there was a little bit of spare paper on the table. I could do one of those what's on my desk, couldn't I? I wouldn't come up for air for the next 6 months, but hey, we could do that. We could do that one. I'm going to put 2 tags in there because it's just a single layer pocket, and this might be a gentleman's document holder. It'll be a couple of extra, so we can do that one. That one's the same. I wouldn't have to think of another single idea, would I, if I did what's on my desk? Just keep ploughing through it. And that's the map. Oh, this poor old piece of paper gets picked and chucked away all the time. Alright. I think it's time to end this video, and the next time you see it, it will be all done. But that's okay, because they're all going to be like you can see the pattern that's happening here. They're all going to be done in the same sort of tones, the same, using the same papers. So once you've seen me do a couple of these, you'll get the gist of how I've gone about it and what I've done. And we'll have a big show and tell, won't we, at the end, when we go through them all. But I will go, like I said, I will go through them all, otherwise you won't know if you would like one. Or if you see one that I'm doing, then you can reserve it if you like. Okay. I keep going, I'm going, and I just do a little bit more, don't I? So I'll just put these 2 there, and on that note, thank you for being with me. Hope I didn't bore you too much. I do go off, don't I? I go off, and I must be getting very, very old, because now all I talk about is the past. I think it's a prerequisite, isn't it? But that's okay. Thank you for your support. Keep well. Most importantly, be kind to you, and please be kind to the person standing next to you. Until next time, bye for now.